Hey, what's going on? It's Tavis. I'm back for the week 4 summary of the Project I Will Not Bonk Ironman Canada project thingamabob. It is Sunday, October 27th. Actually, it's my birthday. What better way to spend my birthday than to record this summary video for you? So, thanks everybody that has tuned in so far and has followed along. And before we get into head on over to the channel and my laptop to kind of go over stuff, just want to send a shout out to all the people down in California, in Healdsburg, California. I'm actually wearing my Healdsburg Running Company hat right now. Hope everyone's safe. That's some crazy stuff going on down there. So thoughts and prayers are with you and your families and friends, and I hope everybody's okay. And yeah, crazy times. So, in addition to that kind of sad news, I want to say thanks to all the people that have sent me a message or posted on Facebook happy birthday wishes. Very much appreciated. Thank you so much. And hopefully I will see you on the channel, see you on Facebook page, and see you or connect with you at some point through this crazy I Will Not Bonk thing. So yeah, again, very much appreciated. Thanks, and hope to talk to you soon. Okay, so why don't we head on over to the computer and we will go over the last couple weeks or month 1 of my training thing. All right, talk to you in a sec. Cheers. Hey folks, what's going on? We're back on my computer, and we are looking at, actually let's flip over to my Strava training log, and we'll briefly go over what has happened in the last couple weeks. So again, I missed doing a summary for last week, so I'm going to combine this into a week 3 and week 4 summary. And you know, again, nothing terribly exciting, just regular keeping nose to the grindstone, trying to stay consistent, and this is what it worked out to the last couple weeks. So you can check out one of the previous videos for week 2 summary, but the last 2 weeks, week 3 and week 4, worked out to this. Total run and ride, no swimming yet, 7 hours and 27 minutes the week of October 14th to 20th. And this week, a little bit of a step down week, 5 hours and 37 minutes across both run and ride. So what does that break down to in terms of, if we look at distances, we'll look at run distance. Week 3 total run distance, 28 miles. This week was only 17 miles. For ride, last week was 71.4 miles, and this week was 65.7. So for combined totals, again, 7.5 hours, 5.5 hours, and yeah, again, no swims yet. Probably won't be doing that till I don't know, maybe December, January, something like that. We'll see how things go. I hate swimming. I suck at swimming. Not too worried about it. So, okay, so that's time and distances for training. So again, nothing terribly exciting. For those of you that, you know, if you're not already, you're probably following me on Strava anyway. If you do want to follow, if you're new to the channel or new to this whole thing, you can find me at Tavis Yeung on Strava. If you're on there, just look me up there. And you can follow along. I post pretty much everything into the I Will Not Bonk Facebook page anyway, so you can kind of see it there. But what everybody is, I think, more interested in over the last little while, or since the start of this project, has been the expenses. So why don't we hop over into my handy dandy Excel sheet, where I've summarized pretty much, well, we'll go over this right now. So for those of you that use, you know, Garmin or, you know, Suunto, or I don't know what Polar's equivalent is, but, you know, all of you folks that are training, you've obviously got some way of tracking beyond Strava, you know, the basic things, distance and time that you're doing for training. I've basically taken the data out of my Garmin Connect account and kind of piled it all into this crazy Excel workbook because I'm a data nerd and geek. And I've broken down everything into various things. So let's go over that now. So what are we looking at? Well, the basic easy stuff, right? I mean, obviously we got workout time. So everybody's got this. Everybody kind of through Strava or whatever your training platform of choice is. You have your typical workout effort or time that you spent doing said workout. What I've done is I've kind of taken it one step further or a few steps further, where not only am I tracking the time spent efforting or doing the actual exercise or activity, I've also started to track or want to track for this year prep time, travel time, and what the total time is, inclusive of like the prep and travel. So what do I mean by prep time or travel time? Well, travel time is obvious, but prep time, when you're about to go and do whatever your workout is, and this is especially applicable in, say, swimming, of which I've done none. But even for like an indoor training ride, or if you're going to go out for a bike ride outside, if you're going to go for a run outside, there is a small amount of time that you can that you have to factor in, or I am trying to factor in or account for, that is also part of the time that you are putting in to training. So in this case, for every single or every single workout that I've done in the last month, a little bit prior, I've also included the time that I spent, whether it be preparing nutrition, getting my bottles ready, setting up the trainer, or setting up all the towels and stuff that all around my trainer because I sweat like you wouldn't believe. For running, whether it's just getting your gear together and getting all your clothing together if you're going to go out for a run out in the rain, or if you're going to go, whatever it is that your workout is. It's not just the time that you're spending doing the workout. There's a bunch of extra time, although it may not be a lot, over the course of the next 10 months. I am interested to see what all that extra time is going to work out to. So, for example, for the month of October, although we have like the basic time that was spent for, of course, doing the actual workout, if you take all these little 10 minutes and 5 minutes, in some cases 25 minutes, well, this was kind of an anomaly because there was a dog poop cleanup, or dog pee cleanup, actually. I don't know why I put poop, but anyway, this was definitely an anomaly. But the point is that there was time in addition to the actual training that I spent doing other things before actually doing the workout. So what that worked out to for the month of October is, although I spent roughly 27.36 hours total doing the physical activity or the workout, there was also 4 hours of prep time and just a little under an hour of travel time. At this point, it doesn't seem much, but, well, actually, it is kind of a significant amount, right? Like when you look at this, of the total amount of time that I could attribute, or that I can say that I spent, working out or training, uh, the percentage that was spent actually doing the physical activity, basically 85% was actually spent doing the workout, but almost 13% was preparing to do those workouts, and just under 2.5% was spent traveling to and from whatever workouts I was doing. So, how all these break down again, I kind of rounded it up or down, basically 10 minutes every time I got to do a trainer ride. What does that include? Well, again, it's like setting up the trainer, getting all my kicker is pretty much set up, but getting, making sure all the batteries are charged, making sure towels are all together, getting my bottles all prepared, and mixing all the drink stuff,
getting all the nutrition ready. So, whatever gels or bars or whatever, getting all that kind of organized, getting changed, like actually spending the time getting all your gear on and slathering yourself with Body Glide or whatever, chamois butter that you're using. Um, locating your heart rate monitor and making sure that's all charged up, and all those kinds of things. They all basically add up. So for me, I kind of rounded everything to the nearest, minute. So 10 minutes, let's call it. This will probably up or down depending on the workout, but for the most part, 10 minutes for a ride. Um, Again, there's that one day where I had to do a pee cleanup for the dogs. That was 25 minutes. For my runs, typically just leave the house and go run, but getting your gear together, getting changed, all that kind of stuff. Making sure my Stride power meter is charged up. Strapping on heart rate monitor. Finding your gloves, making sure you got the rain jacket, like all that kind of stuff. Like I factor that in. Like, do you have to factor this in? Obviously not, but it all adds up because let's face it, when you need to work out, it's not like from the point you are thinking or that you think that you are going to work out to the point that you're actually working out, there are minutes being spent or time being spent to prepare to do all those things. So, again, for the month of October, that worked out to 4 hours, which is, it's not chump change. And again, depending, I don't know what you do for a living. Everybody obviously comes from different backgrounds, has different responsibilities, and where you spend your time or how much your time is worth is different for everybody. But for me, having an understanding or just to account for some of this time over the course of the next 10 months, um, this does become quite valuable in this time, as everybody's time is in fact valuable. So, again, when I look at the last month, 32 hours, it was actually 32 hours that I spent training. It wasn't just the 27.3 hours, doing whatever the effort was. It was actually 32 hours spent, getting to and from, preparing, getting basically everything together and organized before I could actually do the workouts. So, that's for month one, not huge amounts, but especially when we get into um, spring and summer, where perhaps I'll be with Greg or Anthony or whoever else, or Ron or whoever else is I'm going to be riding with or running with. When we drive out to say Langley and we want to do a long ride, that time spent driving out to Langley, for example, or driving out to New West or whatever it is, I want to factor all that in because it is absolutely time that is associated with the training. So anyway, that's the first month. So that's just time. The next kind of things, or the other things that I'm tracking, as you can see here, okay, again, if you're using Garmin, I'm sure this is probably also tracked within, whatever other watch you happen to use or whatever other fitness um, tracker thing you're using. Even within Strava, I think it actually counts it. But anyway, I've broken down every workout that I've got, or every workout that I've done, to include, calories burned. For riding on the Garmin 1030 or the Edge 1030, it actually accounts for sweat volume. Yes, I sweat a lot. Um, and for all my rides, like I've basically been kind of logging the amount of sweat that I've, I guess, expelled or dumped on the floor while on the trainer. Uh, Water consumed, so this is not necessarily just pure H2O, but whatever liquid nutrition that I'm consuming for that ride, broken down into bottles based on 500 ml bottles, and what the cost was, like the actual raw costs were for the fuel or the nutrition that was consumed during that particular workout. So we'll get into that in a few seconds here. But if we look at this in terms of summary, for the month of October, we're looking at 18,770 calories burned, which equates to roughly 5.28 pounds. If you were to kind of utilize some information that you can find out there in Google in terms of what the calories work out to, this is definitely an approximation. I don't want all the trolls to, all you doctors or whoever, the people out there that are going to try to argue with me that's not a proper calculation. This is the actual link where I got some of this information from, and yes, 1 pound is not equal to 3,500 calories, but anyway, for the purpose of this kind of tracking, it's close enough. So, anyway, roughly 5.28 pounds I burned. Now, that's not 5.28 pounds that I've lost, because of course I've eaten during these rides, so not everything that has gone out has disappeared. There is calories being consumed during the ride. So anyway, cycling sweat. So while on my trainer or riding, 9.85 liters of sweat have basically ended up, more or less on the floor, or in the towels that are piled up around my bike when I'm doing my training. And the number and liters consumed, 17 and a quarter liters of water I've actually drank while training, inclusive of both bike and run. So, for 1 month, that's quite. I didn't realize I drank that much, and I didn't realize I sweat that much. But that's what it is. And in terms of cost, if we break down the nutrition, so far in October, just October, $112.35 of fuel or nutrition has been consumed while training. So this is, we're talking like gels or whatever liquid nutrition that is taken or consumed while working out. This is not, breakfast or pre-ride or pre-run or, going out with the gang after a run and having brunch. That is not what is included in this cost. This is actual cost of stuff that I've eaten during the workout and only during the time, basically, during the workout or while efforting. So what does this number, and how does this number break down? So for every ride, I basically break it down into different products that I've taken. Now, what I'm trying to do is standardize on the products or number of products that I'm going to be consuming while training or racing for the next year, and even for Ironman, because I want essentially to get used to taking those particular things. And I happen to like, and I've been using the, Martin as or Martin, or I don't know how you pronounce it, but Martin is the drink mix of choice that I have been using, as well as the Martin gels. Again, you can find this stuff on the internet. I've been getting them from Van Runco, so there's not many suppliers, I think, here in Vancouver that you can get this stuff, but Van Runco has been hooking me up, so that's great. If you want to try this stuff out, go and talk to Rob and Claire at Van Runco. Anyway, and then Mirror Gels, Naked Bars, Noon Tabs, Dates. I happen to like Medjool Dates. Boost, so those are kind of like Ensure or Boost. Fair enough. This is probably not the best stuff for you, but for quick calories, quick protein, it's just convenient and it's easy. And I'm trying not to take as much perhaps as I once did. I remember in one of my Ironman years way back, I kept all the bottles of Boost that I consumed during my training period, and I think it worked out to about 2 full Glad garbage bags full of Boost empty bottles. I ended up making kind of a tower pyramid of Boost bottles just for fun. I wish I could find the picture, but anyway, scary in terms of how much boost I went through that year. Hopefully, I won't be going through as much this year, but it's all going to be accounted for. Salt stick capsules. So this is kind of the equivalent to like Endurolites or various other types of sodium capsules or pills that you take, to kind of account for heavy sweat loss or if it's super hot out. Thankfully, right now, because we're, basically fall, not I don't have to take any of this right now because it's not sunny enough. I'm not training outdoors. I'm not, out there for 5 hours on the bike, sweating like crazy. But this will definitely be a factor later on, or when we get into the heat of summer next year. Carbo Pro, same thing. Carbohydrate mix. I've probably consumed, I don't know, like a garbage can full of this stuff over the course of my life. What this stuff is gonna, or how much Carbo Pro I'm gonna be taking over the next year, who knows? But so far, again, because I've been able to kind of do most of my training or trainer rides indoors at home. I've been able to take other types of fuel for my carb intake while training because I have the luxury of being on a stationary, with a table beside me that I can just basically pile up all sorts of food beside me while I'm riding, and I don't have to worry about trying to have like a convenient way to take down carbs in a bottle while out on the road. So what that has worked out to for the month of October. So Month1 60 drink mix. I've had 6 of those for a total of $16.50. For Month320, slightly more concentrated or larger volume of the mix in the same volume of water. So more concentrated for harder workouts. Done that. Had 4 packages of those for $20.40. The Martin hydrogels, I've had 9 of them for a whopping $47.25, which is kind of crazy because these things are bloody expensive. But it is what it is. Mirror gels, different type of gel. I mean, I do like the mirrors, natural ingredients, all that kind of stuff. But it's super thick. It's almost like trying to, take a couple spoonfuls of, Skippy peanut butter when you're in the middle of suffering on the bike, or if you're in the middle of racing or running. It's a little difficult to take down because you're going to need water for sure to swallow it, versus the hydrogels, which they go down fantastic. You don't really need water to have them. So anyway, I've had 3 of the Mirror gels, naked bars, the naked cashew bars, I guess. I've had 5 of those, $10. Noon tabs. Surprisingly, I've only had 3 noon tabs, probably because I've been using the Mar10 instead. But for most people out there, I mean, you're familiar with the noon. 3 tabs. Dates, Medjool dates. So apparently I need a lot of dates. So 26 Medjool dates. When you work out the price of that, I think they work out to like 31 cents per date or something like that. Great natural source of carbs and energy, which is great. Boosts. Apparently, I've had 2 boosts prior to October. That's why it's not included in the cost here for the month of October. So I guess in September or months prior to October, I had a couple boosts. Salt stick caps, nothing. Carbo Pro, nothing. So total consumed $112.35 in nutrition just for the month of October. And this is, again, not huge training volume, primarily rides. So this is all really just for my, trainer rides. During the runs, I'm not running long enough right now that I've really had to take any fuel. I mean, I've just had like just pure water. So, I'm not taking bottles with me with Martin in it. I'm not taking gels with me while I'm out for runs because I'm not doing anything over an hour really at this point. But still, for 1 month, fairly light training, I guess you could say, $112. That's quite a bit. And we haven't even really started anything serious yet. So, this is going to get interesting. It's going to probably get a little scary once we get into it, but, that's what it is. So, so that's cost just for nutrition. So again, I don't think this is terribly surprising. I think for most of the people that are training for Ironman or have done any type of training for you know, long course endurance stuff. I mean, you know what it's like when you're buying boxes of gels, you're buying drink mixes, you're buying EFS, you're buying whatever it is that you're consuming. Uh, this probably isn't terribly surprising to some people. Maybe it is. I'm sure for some of you guys out there, maybe that are just getting into the sport that are unfamiliar with the concept of going out for a run and actually worrying about eating something or taking along sport specific drink with you aside from just taking water. um, this is part of the game, right? So um, definitely will get interesting, I think, once we get into the new year and once we start doing some or once I start doing some longer rides. So anyway, so far since the project has started, 30 active days. This is last couple days of September included in here, and I've had 2 days off from training. So seems like a lot, but for recovery days, I'll typically try to get in like 30 minutes of some sort of run. Um, but again, the idea, especially during the off season, quote unquote off season, is to maintain consistency, try to build up that durability, make sure mentally that I just get used to just putting in the miles, putting in the time, and it's only first month, right? So far so good. I haven't lost motivation. I'm not sick and tired of training yet, and we'll see how things go over the next 10 months basically. Okay, so that's cost. Or sorry, that's nutrition for cost. What everybody's probably most interested in is not just the nutrition side of things, but what about all the other stuff that is associated with this whole crazy Ironman training stuff? So what I have done is broken down everything uh, that I've spent money on to kind of start down this Ironman 2020 project. Now, big caveat is obviously, having done this sport for a while, I'm not including the costs of some of the equipment that I've already had, right? So, big components of doing triathlon are obviously your bike. That's not included in here. Um, some of us, or some of you guys for sure, have multiple bikes, but that's a huge component of the cost of doing the sport. Wetsuit, that's another thing. Like, some could argue that you don't really need a wetsuit, but in most cases, for most Ironman races, that they are wetsuit friendly, and you're gonna race in a wetsuit, unless of course you're doing Kona or you happen to be in a hot place where you might be doing a race where it's non-wetsuit friendly. But for the most part, you're gonna need a wetsuit. Um, I did happen to pick up a new Roka wetsuit this year because they had an end of season sale, and my Blue 70 that I've had for for a long time. I've had since I think 2010. That was just basically getting to the point where I need to get a new one. So I picked up a new Roka Maverick. So I had great deals over at Roka right now, actually. So if you go check it out, there I think that end of season sales 20% or 30% off or something like that. So anyway, go check it out. Beyond kind of some of the equipment things, there were some expenses that, well, I would say I've broken them down into different categories. So you could argue for some of them whether they're what are called optional or not optional. Um, in this case, let's just kind of go over what is on the screen here. In July, for example, although of course this kind of project started in October, registration for Ironman happened in July. So these are costs that happened since registering for Ironman that I considered not optional or non-negotiable. Like, you basically, if you're going to do Ironman, you got to pay for the registration. So you're into it for $912. Canadian, regardless, right? So that there's you have no choice. In September, accommodation. So there was a deposit of $500 at the Penticton Ramada is where I happen to be staying. This is just the deposit. So they require a minimum 5-night stay for the week of Ironman. So I can't remember what the actual cost per night are going to end up being, but obviously this number will be significantly more for the accommodation piece when Ironman actually happens. Plus, for training camps, or not camps, but like weekends away training, or I will be up there in Penticton a couple times, obviously over the next year before the actual race to train. So accommodation is a cost that some of us don't necessarily keep at right at the top of mind. Like obviously you got to pay for staying somewhere, but you just kind of assume that, okay, well, whatever, it's a cost you absorb and it is what it is. But when you factor it into the overall um, uh, entirety of the training year, there's a few times where you're probably going to be traveling or whatever to do some training. Again, do you have to travel and go and train on the course? No, of course you don't. But if you're going to do the race, and you have to travel to get to the race, you need a place to stay. For those of you that are able to, I don't know, if you have a camper van or if you have like a sprinter van or something like that, and you can stay in your vehicle, that's fantastic. For those that can actually go on camp and stay in a tent, fantastic. I can't do that, so I'm stuck with paying the cost of the hotel. Membership. So what is this? This memberships I considered that were not optional for me. This is basically just the gym membership at my office. I say it's not optional because I do make use of the treadmill at the office. I make use of the other equipment at the gym, and I make use of the IR sauna in the gym. So to me, I consider them not optional. I mean, I guess you could argue that do you really need a gym membership while training for Ironman? I don't know. Probably not. But I'm considering a gym membership as not optional. Miscellaneous, I can't remember what the miscellaneous is. Well, I mean, what I'll probably end up doing is, okay, so this this was D's Nuts, Body Glide, and Chamois Butter. So I mean, believe it or not, I spent $71 just to replenish the supply of the, stuff required that when you're on the trainer and on your bike as much as you are when training for Ironman and doing as much indoor training as I'm doing, you need to save your undercarriage. And these are the products that I am using to accomplish that. So, I guess, can you argue that, do you need it? Maybe not. I happen to value my undercarriage, so I would say that, yeah, that this is non-negotiable and you need this stuff, or, I'm not going to make it past month one. Anyway, so what else is there? Okay, so repairs in September. So the helmet liner in one of my helmets basically disintegrated. So I have to replace the liner in my road helmet. Cost me $17. So now, having said that, like, these are what I call the non-optional costs, right? So if we look at so far to date, $1,580. To some people, that is, well, there's two ends of the spectrum here, right? I mean, $1,580 is not an amount to laugh at. It's quite a bit if you were to want to get into the sport and you're faced with like $1,000 basically registration, and then accommodations and all that kind of stuff. But you're basically in it for $1,000 just to even participate, have the luxury or the privilege of doing this race. Now, all the other things that are associated, like I said earlier, bike and wetsuit and all that kind of stuff, those are prerequisites. And when I turn the optional and the kind of arguably optional items on, this this is where things kind of get scary. And I'm not going to break down or reveal all the individual components of what these costs are, aside from the ones that I've just kind of told you, in the public kind of channel. If you do want access to um, the granular or the breakdown of the costs of all the line items which you're about to see, or that I'm about to reveal to you, I encourage you to hit iwillnotbonk.com, stuff your email in there, and I will send summaries in an Excel or Google Doc form um, to those of you that have actually subscribed or registered. Now, why am I doing that? I just, as you can imagine, there's some sensitive information, if you want to call it that, that I don't necessarily want to reveal in just the public domain, right? So at least if you have opted in or if you've subscribed and I have your email, I kind of have an idea of who has access to this stuff. And because if I am going to reveal it through a Google Doc, I have a way to turn it off if I don't want to, continue sharing. Well, again, I'm going to do this until actual Ironman day, until after the race is done. But again, from a privacy standpoint, I'm just trying to protect some of this information. I hope that you can appreciate that. So again, if you do want information to all the full nitty gritty and full breakdown of what the costs are that you're about to see, the inclusive of vendors, products names, whether there's a discount involved or not, um, all the kind of again, granular details. I encourage you again, or I welcome you to opt in. I'm happy to share it with you, but I would just rather know who is actually seeing this stuff. So hopefully that makes some sense. Okay, so what I mean by optional and not optional, and the difference between the non-optional being roughly $1,500 versus all the optional stuff. And throughout the year we'll kind of get into it, and that includes obviously gear and equipment and all sorts of other things that you don't really need, but it's stuff that I use. And again, we'll get into it. So here we go. Are you sitting down? Are you ready? Okay, so here we go. So far to date, not just for the month of October, I will concede that there are costs in this total that I have had to pay this year because I either purchased the product or whatever the thing was prior to me starting the I Will Not Bonk project, and because the project started in October, there were things that I've been using or have been using for the better part of the year, like things like Zwift, right? So Zwift is a monthly membership. There's software that I use to track all this stuff that I've been using for the entire year, and many of the things, where possible, I try to get the yearly membership because of the cost. There is a significant cost savings, as you can probably imagine, when you can purchase something, for the year, you get a discount for that cost rather than paying monthly. So anyway, things like software, things like if I happen to buy like a whole bunch of Martin gel in July that I still haven't finished consuming yet, those are the costs that kind of happened before I actually started the I Will Not Bonk project in October, but it's still factored into the total. So what does that look like? Again, you ready? This is kind of scary, and it's going to get even more scary. Okay, so this is what we're at so far for the year of 2019 to get into this project. $7,969.58. Scary? Yes. Okay, so again, what makes up this cost? Well, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, there are certain things in here that were the non-negotiables. Like, we know that on July 27th, I bought I registered for Ironman. That was $912. IMC shirt. Okay, during my registration, I bought a stupid shirt. Did I need that? Of course not. Did I need to spend $44 on a bloody t-shirt? Absolutely not, but I did. They sucked me in. What can I say? if I were to factor out, you know, non-optional, again, that would basically that would take that out, and that would not be in there. So you don't see a shirt in there anymore, right? So you only see the registration. So again, if we were to factor in all the things that are optional as well, this is what the breakdown looks like. Again, if you want access to what these actual numbers break down to, like for example in January, what the hell did I spend $560 that are considered not optional / optional? You know, what made this cost up? Well, you know, I'll kind of reveal to you some of this. Things like I said, Zwift, Trainer Road, Training Peaks, like the different pieces of software. So just happen, I mean, $858 this year has just been in software. Okay, do you need this? No, you absolutely do not. Don't get me wrong. However, in order for me to do the tracking, in order for me to provide all the data that I'm providing, not that I knew I was going to be doing this at the beginning of the year, but you know that this is what, you know, it was $858 in software that I've spent just this year. You know, registration, we know that's Ironman. Nutrition. So this year, believe it or not, I've spent almost $1,000 in nutrition. So again, that kind of involves bulk buys, or you know, buying like a couple months worth of stuff at once. And you know, in August, I happened to buy quite a bit of stuff because I knew I was going to be heading into a marathon in September. So you know, loading up on Carb Pro, getting, you know, more gels, blah 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 blah. That's what I spend in August. So you know, for a total $922. You know, footwear. Holy cow, $1,000 so far this year. In which August I spent a whopping $760 in runners. Yes. Okay. So obviously, if you saw one of the videos earlier, I mean, what runners are we talking about? Well, you know, when you start talking, you know, Nike Flyknit 4%. If you start talking the Nike Next percents, of which I have multiple pairs of these. Right now I'm training in the Pegasus 2s. Again, shout out to Van Runco for hooking me up on my runners. It all adds up. Now, these are 100% optional. In one sense, they are optional because you don't need these shoes. You don't need a pair of Next percents. You don't need a pair of Vaporfly 4%. You need runners though. So, you know, the type of gear that you buy and the type of gear that you use, I would say absolutely do help. They do contribute to your, you know, your overall performance. And you know, could you do Ironman in a pair of Vans? Probably. Would you want to? No. No disrespect to Vans. I like Vans. Could you do them in Jordans, of which you can see I have many? Yeah, I probably could, but you know, does that make sense? No, obviously not. So, you know, and thankfully, some of these things, for some of these pairs of runners, you know, I did happen to get at discount. You know, Lynn and I were down in Oregon back in August. We were at the Nike employee store. You know, I happened to get my Next percents, or one pair of my Next percents, at like 50% off. And then because I love them so much, I ended up buying another pair. And I, you know, again, multiple pairs of 4%. So anyway, you don't need all of these things, but you know, because of the mileage that I put on, and for those of you out there that put on big mileage while running, I mean, you know, these shoes break down, and there's no way around it. Like if you're going to put in the mileage, there's wear and tear on your shoes. If you're running in dead shoes, that's not good either. So, you know, I would argue that is it optional? The type of shoe is optional, but needing shoes in multiple pairs throughout the year is not optional. So anyway, that's, you know, $1,000 so far. We're in month 1, for crying out loud. Other equipment, like there's other things that I've gotten here. You know, again, I picked up a wetsuit, so you know that's part of what this $1,200 is. October, there's other equipment in here, $933. Again, if you want to know what all this stuff is, I will happily share that with you. But go to I Will Not Bonk. stuff your email in there, and I will share it all via a private document, as I don't want to give up, the entire farm to the public in terms of all the stuff that I use, what I bought, and what I'm using for training. So, yeah, some people will think, oh, you're such an, I'm being somewhat, I don't know, like shady, or there's some shenanigans going on by doing that. But hey, I kind of value my privacy. If you decide to opt in and provide me with your email, trust me, I also value your privacy. So I'm not going to be doing anything with your email. I just want to know who's got access to this stuff, right? So anyway, yeah, so that's what this works out to, right? So I mean, like for the year, $2,500 in equipment, $1,000 in footwear, almost $1,000 in nutrition, $1,000 for the registration, almost $1,000 in software, $700 in miscellaneous stuff. Again, I will reveal what that is if you are interested. Opt in. It's all broken down in my other worksheet. Accommodation, $500 so far. Kit, so what does that include? That's like, again, I picked up a Roka tri-suit because it was on sale. I probably bought, a couple other random pieces of gear because it was end of year sale. I need to refresh or replace a couple of items that I had. Memberships, so this is like, again, the gym membership. What else is there? I think, okay, what other membership do I have in here? October. Let's see, for the $102, you'll see some of the stuff. Oh, final. Okay, so yeah, for one of my training tracking platforms, that's part of the monthly. So again, that's one thing that unfortunately I can't get yearly. I can't prepay yearly. So it's a monthly cost. So anyway, basically from now until race day, I'm looking at $102 a month just for the membership side of things that I require to kind of continue doing this. Leisure wear, that's like random t-shirts. I've only bought one t-shirt. I mean, for those of you that know me, I've got too many t-shirts, just put it that way. Repairs, well, who knows? I mean, repairs so far, thankfully I'm riding on a trainer indoors. As we head into next year, I mean, I don't know how many sets of tires I went through this year, how many flats I had. Greg, you probably know how many. So yeah, tires are expensive. CO2 cartridges you got to factor in, patch kits, all that kind of stuff. That's all, this number is probably going to balloon. But long story short, month one, for the most part, or month one is done. To date, we're close to $8,000. Of all the months, it's only, about $1,700 was in October. Quite a bit was in September, just because of, again, more gear that I happened to pick up. All these other things, I mean, that's thankfully, these are, I think these are going to be one-off type costs. Like, I don't need to buy another wetsuit, obviously. I don't need to buy some of these other things, multiples of them. I guess one could argue I will need to buy more shoes probably, but more runners as I burn through these ones over the next year. Especially when you're talking, next percents. I'm not going to be wearing these other than in races. So, when I do the first half, I'll be wearing these. If I'm doing any other type of 10Ks or whatever, obviously I'll be wearing these for Ironman. So these are kind of a one-off thing. But if I'm going to be training and I decide to wear my Vaporfly 4%. I'll probably need a couple more pairs of these, although I am running in the Pegasus 2s right now. These are different, right? I mean, obviously none of these things are cheap, but over the course of the next year, I'm going to blow through those things, and especially the Vaporfly or the 4%. I mean, they're good for. I mean, you get 200 miles out of them. That's great. I mean, you obviously you can see based on training here. Like if I just look at run distances, I mean within a month you're looking at 20, 50, about 100 miles almost. Like just in a month. Some of you guys out there are probably doing like 100 miles. Like there's people out there that do 100 miles in a week, for God's sakes. Maybe not triathletes, but there's definitely guys out there that are doing a huge volume. Obviously, not going to be running in 4% or next percents, but the point is, over time, this cost is absolutely going to go up just for the footwear component. So anyway, the reason why that I kind of bring up the 4% or the Vaporflies, I mean, there's tons of controversy about these very shoes. for those of you following the I Will Not Bonk channel, obviously I posted a bunch of stuff about Eliud Kipchoge's breaking the 2-hour marathon record. He was running in a kind of like a custom version of these guys that were specially made for him. They're probably going to be maybe publicly released, like the version that he wore. But for all the guys that were pacing him, they were all wearing the pink version of these. There's all sorts of like outcry for whatever reason. Well, I guess I kind of get it, but there's outcry. There's like a controversy that these are helping runners, or these shoes or shoes like it with the carbon plate inside are providing some sort of unfair advantage compared to runners that don't have the same type of technology or whatever you want to call it that are in the shoe, which is basically, well, there's a carbon plate in the shoe. Like, yeah, super light. I will say these have absolutely helped me. I also because of the course that I ran, but in running with these shoes, I did PB my marathon just in September, which was great. Would I have been able to get the same time wearing another pair of shoes? I don't know, but even from a psychological standpoint or placebo standpoint, these absolutely help. They're a fantastic shoe, and they make you run faster. Plain and simple. Do you need to spend, I don't know what they are retail, but do you guys spend $400 on these shoes? Of course you don't. But if you have the luxury or if you have the means, whether you're wearing the Vaporflies, these are both essentially the same cost. They're like 360 Canadian or 390 Canadian. I don't know what the hell it's $330 Canadian, I think. You can't get these anymore. These are now these are end of life unless you go like secondary market. These are kind of the new ones, but I think they're both $330. You will go faster in those shoes. Now the shelf life of those shoes, you can't use them for training. I mean, well, if you want to use them for training, you're going to be spending a lot more money than I am on shoes. But they absolutely help. They absolutely help me anyway. I leave it totally to up to you or at your discretion whether you want to experiment and try a pair out. And if you do, go see the folks at Van Run Co. because they will happily hook you up. Yeah, they've changed my life. That's all I can say. And will I be running those? Absolutely. Now, in terms of controversy, is it unfair? Is it cheating? Well, I would say that's kind of bunk because they're publicly available shoe. Everybody can go out and buy them. You look at Ironman or the Ironman World Championships. The top 3 women on the podium were all wearing this shoe. The top, I think, in Ironman 70.3 in Nice, I think. Well, the guy that won was wearing these shoes. And every other race right now that's happening, like the women's marathon record that was just broken in Chicago, these shoes. Basically, everywhere you look, I mean, you look at the age groupers at Kona this year, everybody's got the next percent. So point is, is it cheating? Well, of course it's not cheating, but is it an unfair advantage? I guess that's debatable. I mean, I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments below in terms of what you think about running in these shoes that are publicly available. It is an interesting thing. I think obviously over time technology has gotten better. Bikes are lighter, they're more aero. I mean, you spend the money, you can go faster, right? So I mean, there's a fine line between can you buy speed? Yeah, you can. And obviously you still got to put in the work, you still got to train, but are there incremental gains that are to be had by spending the money on equipment? 100%. And I wish I could say otherwise, but it's a fact, right? And what that's going to be, for those of you again getting into the sport, do you need to go and spend $400 on a pair of shoes and 10 grand on a bike? No, you don't. Will you go faster if you did that? Yeah, probably. But that's I'm not here to kind of tell you one way or the other. I'm just going to tell you what I'm using and and obviously track what I've spent. So long story short, so far $8,000. So yeah, we'll see what happens over the course of the next 10 months. But things will probably stabilize, obviously, because nutrition will be an ongoing thing. Miscellaneous, who knows what other miscellaneous crap I'll end up buying. When I say crap facetiously, but um, equipment. Yeah, I don't think I'll need to buy anything really more than what I've already got. And again, this does not even include the costs of the equipment that I have now. So I mean, like the Wahoo Kicker, if you want to train indoors on a smart trainer, do you need a smart trainer to train on? No. Um, if you want to train inside, yes, of course you need a trainer, but do you need a kicker? No, of course not. Do you need a power meter? Well, if you're a cyclist and you want to improve and you want to be a more, um, I guess, well, you want to be a better cyclist, you need a power meter. In my opinion, you should have a power meter on the bike. Do you need it to do Ironman? No, you don't. But in terms of as a training tool, 100%. None of those things have been included in this figure because I already had those things prior to this project thing. So again, this number, if you were to include like costs of all the other equipment, bikes and power meters and like watches and the head unit for the bike and all the other stuff. I mean, this number gets real big real fast. So yeah, thankfully we're not including that stuff. I mean, maybe as part of the overall project as a side thing, again, keeping it private, I may decide to break down all the equipment that I currently have and whatever the costs were that were associated with that, astronomical numbers, but I'm probably not going to reveal that publicly either. But again, if you're interested, please comment, let me know, shoot me an email, or simply just go to iwillnotbonk.com, throw your name in the email, and I'll be sending updates via email to those people that I have, that I know who you are, or at least that I have a record of who you are, and then maybe again, I will share some of those specifics, or some of the behind the scenes stuff that I'm not necessarily sharing like totally public. So again, hopefully you can understand the rationale behind that. So anyway, this is fancy bar charts, all that kind of stuff, but this is what you'll be seeing over the course of the next 10 months, right? So this is the level of detail that I am tracking stuff. I will compile all of it on a weekly and of course monthly basis. For those of you that have opted in, I will be sending an email out to the subscribers that have revealed their email, and they'll get some more further detail, like I said. And yeah, until next time, hopefully this was somewhat helpful. I know it was kind of long and drawn out, but yeah, this is kind of the format. I think I have everything kind of in place. I have the platform in place. I have all the different tools or whatever that I need to kind of track all this properly. So again, I hope you kind of enjoy this information. I hope I've maybe inspired some of you to maybe not spend all this money, but at least get out there and train. In terms of the time spent so far, just for October, 27.36 hours. 32 hours total, all this kind of stuff, calories, all these kinds of figures I'll be sharing with everybody. And yeah, hope to connect with more of you soon through the channel or through my YouTube channel or through my Facebook page. Like or share if you have any triathlete friends or training buddies that you might think might find some of this useful. Sharing is caring. Yeah, and I just hope to maybe inspire or help some people with maybe some of the decisions in terms of what they're doing, or for sure I'll be doing gear reviews or talk about the gear that I have. Maybe that'll be one of the next future videos, is I'll just go over the stuff that the bikes that I ride on, and whatever other gear that I happen to be using. Yeah, but please follow along at iwillnotbonk.com shove in your email. You'll get email updates. Obviously, follow me on Strava where you can, or if you haven't already, um, follow me on Zwift. Username I think for Zwift is if you just look up Tavis, or if you look up IWNB.com on Zwift, you'll find me there. Strava, again, my username is Tavis. Yeah, that's probably it. So feel free to comment below. Obviously, really appreciate your feedback. Really appreciate you taking the time to kind of follow along with this and listen to me rant and rave and ramble about these things. But I could talk about this forever. Um, but yeah, as we head into November, so month 2, things will probably start to get a little more interesting. But most importantly, especially here in Vancouver, it's getting dark. Like I said before, days are getting shorter. Daylight hours are becoming less. People out there are crazy in terms of drivers. So if you're out there riding, if you're out there running at night, wear lights, get as much reflective crap on as you can. Just be safe. Assume every single driver that is driving alongside you is about to turn right in front of you. And yeah, just again, please be safe. If that's the one takeaway from this whole thing, is that I want everybody that is following, if they're training for an event, they actually get to the event uninjured, and they can actually do the damn race. So once again, thanks again for following along. Whatever links for information or stuff, I'll have below this video somewhere. But IWillNotBonk.com, that's the easiest way, or follow me on Facebook, my Instagram, and all that kind of stuff I'll put down there as well. So look forward to connecting very soon. Catch up soon. Have a great start to November, or happy Halloween actually, which is in a couple days. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Take care. Peace.